Welcome to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the podcast series that showcases the brilliance of Africa's great minds, innovators, and experts as they tackle complex challenges with homegrown solutions driven by knowledge, technology, and innovation. Our podcast is inspired by the African Union Agenda 2063 Aspiration 7, which seeks to rebrand Africa and change negative narratives and perspectives through science, technology, and innovation. We believe that Africa has the power to solve its own development challenges and become a strong, united, resilient, peaceful, and influential global player and partner. Join us as we explore the transformative potential of technology in Africa with your host, Razia Kulatain Mwanga, and learn from the experts driving change on the African continent.
And today in the program, we celebrate the International Women's Day on investing in women to accelerate progress through recognizing and honoring feminist African women change makers in business who have done exceptional work to invest and accelerate progress in their careers, their business, and professional spheres of work and influence. Today we celebrate Chioma Ogbe, an English linguist turned businesswoman, baby food inventor, and food processor. Chioma is one of the winners of the Export Readiness Accelerator Program from Showcase Her, a fully funded export readiness training sponsored by Afri-Exim Bank and powered by Impact Her Nigeria to prepare African business women and their businesses for the export market and navigating through inter-African trade. Chioma is the founder and innovator of RITZY Foods, which produce an iconic African baby food brand, among other things, from southeastern Nigeria. Chioma, welcome to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the home of African great minds and solutions.
Thank you very much, Razia. Thank you. I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to having a great time.
Tell us who Chioma Ogbe is, the English linguist turned businesswoman and food processor. How did it all start?
My name is Chioma Ogbe. I got my first degree, English linguistics, from the University of Jos, Plateau State. Plateau State is in the northern part of Nigeria. Jos is quite a beautiful place. You know, while we were young, our parents were always emphasizing you go to school and get good grades and get a good job. It was not easy understanding the place we were going to as a nation. So when we graduated, there was this new trend, which was embargo on employment. So the easiest thing to do was just find anything you can find. I started out teaching. I was teaching in secondary schools, English language and literature in English. So I started out teaching. I taught for about 10 years. Then before I stopped, by then the children had started coming. And then after my first child, I had a set of twins. It was a boy and a girl. And just a few months down the line, I didn't really understand what happened. Their appetite became very bad. They were not eating. It was a really serious time of struggle for me. So I tried every baby food I could find in the market, and they were not just keeping food down in their stomach. We were always in the hospital. The doctors would check, they would do tests, they would do all they could medically. At the end of the day, they'll just tell me, Madam, just be patient. Some children are just like that. They don't like to eat. I'm like, I found it difficult to just take it in like that, because I think, you know, our experiences mold us. When I got married, I lost my very first pregnancy, I lost the child. The day I fell into labor, the National Association of Medical Doctors nationwide in Nigeria called for a nationwide strike. And you know, wow. First pregnancy without experience, and my mom was not close by. We just went to any hospital we could find. because I had already done my antenatal in a national hospital. That is a federal government hospital. But because they were on strike that day, we now went to a private hospital and the doctors botched all the processes. It was a CS, and after 6 days, I lost that child.
Oh, I'm very sorry.
It was really, really dark days for me. But after then, I was pregnant again, and I had my first child, a girl. Then after the first child, the girl, I now got pregnant with the twins. And then after I had the twins, 4 or 5 months down the line, I am battling malnutrition. They were not eating. They were not keeping food down. We'll go to the hospitals. The doctors were not telling me anything I could understand. So I'm like, this is not happening again. I'm not going to lose another child. So it kind of informed me to find my own solution. So I started searching. While I was searching, I met an elderly woman who told me that, if you mix different grains together, it helps to build the children's appetite, which was exactly what I did. So I put corn, millet, soya beans, and groundnut together, and I blended it. And for me, we look for miracle in very many places, but there are miracles all around us. And in a matter of 2 weeks, I'm not joking, 2 weeks, the turnaround was phenomenal. And even their father was shocked, like, what happened? And I'm like, this is what happened. From then onwards, this particular cereal is like a staple in my house. There is hardly any time you come and I don't have cereal. I might not have rice, I might not have anything, but I must have cereal in my house, because we have confirmed for ourselves that once you take cereal, you have taken a food that is balanced. Everything you are looking for is inside. So after they had grown up a little bit, it just occurred to me like, okay, if I package this thing for sale, let's see what it will look like. Let's see people's reaction. So that was when I now started packaging it. And when I, went around, people were like, it will be proper if you register a company. So we registered RITZY Foods in 2017. So from then onwards, I realized that not having any background in business, I needed business training. So that was when I started attending business trainings. Unfortunately for me, where we reside is in south of Nigeria, Edo State. So we are in the capital city of Edo State, Benin City. And I would say, luckily for me, the present governor, this is his last year in office. 8 years ago, when he came into office, he had this strong belief that, building human capital would make a whole lot of difference. And he has pumped a lot of resources into building human capital. He has gone into a lot of partnerships, both with foreign and local organizations, to bring human capacity development to the state. And I have benefited a whole lot. As in, I did trainings, there was a time when I was doing trainings back to back, as in from one training to the next, to the next, to the next. And for me, even then, without funding, I learned a whole lot that has moved my business forward. And with those trainings, I am better positioned to receive any other intervention or help or funding or whatever it is that any organization is ready to give us, because we have learned a lot. Our business is, gradually getting, the proper structure that a business should have. So with all those trainings, we are now poised. We have gotten help from different organizations, especially when it comes to trainings. I have done, even aside from Impactor, I've done other export training. So the thing is, gradually we are building capacity to actually get into the export market. The next thing was to begin to look for certifications for our products. Having a baby food product without certification, nobody is going to listen to you, no matter how good it is. So we had to start looking for certifications. Of course, I would say Nigeria is not the best place to do business, especially if you don't have loads of money. But we had to start. So we started. And after a while, like let's say going between a year and 2 years, we got our first certification for Nigeria. It is called NAFDAC, Nigerian National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. That's NAFDAC. So this particular product is NAFDAC certified. So with the NAFDAC certification, we are able to put the product on the shelves. Okay, when it got to putting it on the shelves, another hurdle is facing us. The way the country is structured, before you can put your product on the shelf, you would have to, meet a lot of people. You have to find who is the buyer for that supermarket, and sometimes you don't know who the buyer is, so you go several times without finding, the proper channel. But we are not deterred. We keep pushing. We keep finding ways to put our products in the open market. And as it is, we are at it. So last year we introduced other products too. We are looking at a whole family thing, not just for babies now. So we now have peanut butter sweetened with dates, because we looked around in the market. Most of the peanut butters that we have in the market, they are sweetened with maybe sugar or any other sweetener that I do not know about. But I know about dates, and I know that dates are natural and they are sweet. So we are using dates as our sweetener. So our whole vision is that we want to put into the market quality premium packaged foods without artificial sweeteners or flavors or preservatives. So we dry the grains properly, and then we seal properly. So with the drying and the sealing, it can last a long time without preservatives, and we are not adding flavors or sweeteners. So the only sweeteners we are adding are natural sweeteners like the dates. So we have peanut butter with dates. We have soybeans powder sweetened with dates too. And then we also have corn and millet flour. Like Nigeria is a country that is big on swallows, the food that we eat with soups. All across the southern part of Nigeria, from the southeast to the southwest to the south, there are hundreds of soups made with vegetables, with different kinds of protein. So those soups, we usually take them with swallows. Swallows are usually starch based foods like grains or tubers. So we have swallow from cassava, from yam, from cocoyam, from plantain, from grains also. So we are making our own swallow with grains. So it is corn and millet and a touch of cassava. So when you mix it, it's instant. You just mix it with hot boiling water, and it comes together, and you can eat it with your swallow, and it is healthy. So we are looking at a complete family meal. Anyone in the family can participate, can have one or two of our products. So that is what we have now.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chioma. That is very interesting. I've never heard about dates being used as sweetener for food or for anything else. I'm only used to eating dates. They say necessity is the mother of invention, because you would not have become a food processor, you would not have invented that unless your children fell sick. And I also like the idea where you talked about there are miracles everywhere. Or we only need to look and see, because most of the people complain that there are problems, there are no opportunities, and nothing gets done. You've said that you are a product of so many funding opportunities and training based on what your governor has been doing. I would just like to know, because this month we are celebrating the International Women's Day, and the theme of this year is invest in women, accelerate progress. Most of the work that we've done has not been because of funding, but it has been because of training. So what can you say in terms of the importance of investing in women and their business?
I would want to say right here now that everybody who has not taken the time to look at investing in women should take a second look, because investing in women is that point, that turning point that will make especially Africa begin to realize its potential. Like where I am here in Edo State, and I believe it is like that all over Nigeria. If you go to our major markets, I am even beginning to believe that there are more women in the markets than the men. There are more women, and some of these markets, if you go as early as 4 a.m., the women are already in the market. They bring all sorts of things, just name it. I believe that nobody is appreciating the women enough. The women are not being appreciated enough. If you get into the market, in time past, women were struggling to get into the workspace, into the offices. But the offices have a lot of restrictions, especially when it comes to time, your time to report to the office and your time to close. So what happens to the children? So I think for me, because of my own personal experience, I have always chosen a path where I will, at the end of the day, have time for my children. And over the years, I have, let me say 60% achieved that, because my children, they are all teenagers now. And, when they were smaller, I had that time for them because I started this business in my house. I started in my kitchen, processing the grains and blending them and packaging them and all. So I always had time for my children. I'll be the one to take them to school. I'll be the one to pick them up from school, do homework, do assignments, read and prepare for exams and stuff like that, while my business was running on the side. It has not been easy. It might not have been the best track for anybody financially, but for me, I have put my children first, because I know that if I give them the right perspective in life, they can always thrive. So now they are getting to be on their feet. They can do a lot of things for themselves. Now I'm beginning to have more time for the business. So talking about women need to be encouraged any way that anyone would want to encourage them, especially giving them trainings and funding so that they can build their business while building their families. A lot of African families are falling apart because the fund is not there. And out of desperation, so many women, try to do some things that are not very ethical. If we get some of this encouragement, and investment, women will do what is right by themselves and by their families, so that African families can actually thrive. It is very, very important. At this point, I want to salute, my parents are still alive. I feel very blessed. My father is still alive and is still very strong. He has supported me a whole lot. My husband has supported me. And then the Edo State government has supported small businesses by giving us access to a lot of trainings, because training build your confidence. Training help you to, build your network, and training, helps you to learn to structure your business so that any other opportunity that is out there, you can access it. So the governor has done a lot for businesses in Edo State, and I've been praying that other governors will learn from him and not just give people handouts, not share money, because without the proper training, if it was Ritzy Foods in 2017 without proper training, even if you had given me millions at that time, those millions would have gone down the drain, because I wouldn't know what I want as a business person. I wouldn't know what my business wants at different stages of the business. But now I know those things. And then coming to Impact Her has also built on what I have learned in the past. Now I know that when I make my plan for 2024, both my production plan and my financial plan, and I am tracking them. There are things to track, and every month I have a plan. Every week I have a plan, and I look at the plan on paper and I look at what I am doing physically, and I try to merge the two to know where I am per time. So these trainings are very, very important, and they help us to build sustainable businesses, because that is part of what is plaguing Africa. Africa has a lot of small businesses. We have a lot of people doing a lot of things, but if the person falls down and dies, or if the person travels for 1 week, for 1 month, that business cannot strive, because the structures have not been put in place to make that business to thrive. What are our plans to build sustainable businesses? Businesses that can last 100 years, 200 years. If you look at Europe, you look at America, even China, even India, they have businesses that are over 100 years old. How many businesses can we count in the whole of Africa that have lasted up to 100 years, that have lasted up to 200 years? But for Europe and America, for Asia, we can count them. The Coca-Colas of this world, Sony and Samsung, name them, they are there. But in Africa, how many businesses can we remember off the top of our heads that have lasted up to 100 years and 200 years? Even if the children of the founder are no longer in that business, the succession plan has been built such that capable hands will always take over the business and make sure the business continues to survive. So that is the place of training and capacity building and investing in small businesses, so that they can survive the tumultuous times that we are in, the uncertain times that we are in, and be able to build succession plans into their structure, so that even when the founder decides to step aside, the business can continue to thrive. So investing in women is investment for generations to come. And that is what our governments and our leaders need to take seriously, not just pay lip service. Today is 8th of March. A lot of activities are everywhere. But at the end of the day, those activities, how many of them actually impact the lives of women? How many of those activities? There are symposia, there are talks, there are conferences all over the world, all over Africa. But how many of those activities actually translate to concrete impact in the lives of women? I think somebody has to take it up and begin to take data and begin to collate data and find out all the organizations that are having events today, all the people that are having events today, how many of those events actually translate into real impact in the lives of women 5 months down the line, 1 year down the line? We need to really, dig deep into gathering data to find out all the resources that have been put together to host conferences and throw parties. Of it is actually impacting the lives of women. We need to find out that data and know, so that we know whether we are going to the right path or not. So that if there are corrections, if there are course corrections to be done, people can begin to make those corrections and channel the right resources to the right places. Investing in women is that one more thing that needs to be done to turn Africa around, especially for African women. Are resilient, African women are innovative, African women are creative. There is a lot that they can produce if given the right resources. So investing in them will truly, truly accelerate progress.
You've talked about support systems, you've talked about funding, you've talked about family support, you've talked about trainings, and then we also talked about business structures. And then another thing, we also talked about succession plans and the idea of to create businesses that last, that create a legacy beyond one generation. What is it that we are doing wrong that we need to change so that we can create these businesses and empower women to create generational wealth and proper succession plans, so that we can quantify, because we're talking about taking stock of this investment that has been done to see if it works. What can we do to achieve that?
Well, I would also want to continue to talk from my own personal experience. From the trainings that I have attended, we have businesses in Nigeria here where the founders, as they get older, they hand the business over to someone, and then that business begins to suffer. I think it happens because they did not take the time to mold someone, or they did not take the time to create a document that will describe the kind of person who should take over the business. Businesses should not be taken over based on it is my father's business or it is my mother's business. Businesses should not be taken over because you feel that, okay, I've been with this person long enough. People, I read the story of the last person who took over Toyota. I think the head of Toyota now, the story said that when he took over, he had problems with the engineer because he himself was not a Formula One driver. So for him to take charge of that position, he had to go back and learn to drive like a Formula One driver. Then when his engineers design vehicles, he will drive those vehicles, and then he will be in sync with his engineers. He will be able to discuss with his engineers and say, this is where we need to make corrections, and this is where we need to touch up, and this is where we need to make things better. But if he does not know what it means for a car, the car is not the outside. It is not the interiors, the leather, the AC. Okay, the AC is good, but it is not just all those aesthetics. The car is a lot more than that. So if he does not know what it means to, listen to the sound of an engine, then he is not worthy to be the CEO of a car manufacturing company. You get my point? So when you want a business to transcend one generation to the next, you need to mold someone who understands where you are coming from and who understands where you are now, and then who understands where you want to be in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. We study businesses like the Disney business. What were their plans, what were their visions, what were their dreams? So anyone who is taking over that business needs to understand that dream, so that that dream can be refined, it can be tweaked, but the dream will remain the dream. And because it is a dream, there is no end point. So whoever takes that position should be able to also dream like the founders were able to dream. It is with dreams that reality can be created. So you don't just bring in a new CEO who feels that he has arrived, and then at the end of the day, the business begins to suffer. So the person should be able to understand where the business is coming from, and the person should be able to dream and say, where do we see ourselves in the next 50 years? And then, that person has to go through a lot of training, a lot of mentoring, and, all of that to be able to sit properly on that. Like the example I gave of Toyota, the CEO had to go back and train to drive. Of course, he used to drive his personal car before, but that was not enough. He had to drive like a professional, and a professional at a certain level. So, understanding what the players need, and giving them those resources will now help to build that business going forward. So every business that wants to become a global business, wants to become a generational business, should have a successional plan in place, written down for everybody involved to read and see. So I've had a training where I sat down with my team and we crafted a succession plan. And with that succession plan, we will be able to review it and say, okay, this is where we are now. What can we do better? How do we make this plan better? So that as time is going on, the plan will be a live document, not just a dead document that is put on the shelf somewhere and it will be gathering dust. So the plan has to be a live plan. And then going forward, you need to have people who understand where you are going to. Then there is also something that I have noticed in Nigeria. I don't know about other countries in Africa. When business people make money and they can afford to take their children to Europe and America for education, they take them there and the children kind of lose touch with where the founder started from. So when they go to Harvard and they go to America or all the Ivy League schools, by the time they come back, they need to take time to also study the business again. They shouldn't just jump from school and into the CEO chair or the CEO shoes. They should take time and understudy either the founder or someone who has taken over from the founder before they can become the leader in the organization. If they jump from school into the business is going to suffer. There is a transport company in Nigeria that, they are doing well. The founder died, but his children have taken over. They call the name of the business God is Good. It's a transport company. Their father died and the sons have taken over. And they are actually, it is clear to everybody, they are actually building this business into a global business. So they are no longer just a transport company, they are into logistics. They move people and they move goods all over Africa. And maybe very soon they will go into, all over the world, moving people and moving goods all over the world. So these are things that we should have at the back of our mind, building people who are going to take over from any leader at any point in time. Because it is people, when you build people, you are building businesses. Businesses are nothing without the people. So the founders should have a working live document that will detail what it takes for one person to move from one position to the next, so that those businesses can actually thrive and continue to succeed.
What's your final message to women, International Women's Day?
My final word is that women can no longer be relegated to the background. If it worked in the past, which I doubt, it can no longer work. Women should be equipped with everything that they need to make their impact in the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chioma. That was profound. The interview was very interesting. It came from your heart, and I can see a lot of passion and dedication. And I agree with you that investment needs to be done by people who understand what type of investment is needed. There needs to be succession plans, people to understand the business. And also we need to have support systems that support people, because training and funding alone is not enough. People need to have their heart into the business and also work hard to make sure that they keep the business afloat and they innovate on the business. Thank you so much for your time. I believe that everybody who has listened to you, they have taken great insights. I actually liked your understanding and your broad overview of the way business is run. You are a truly remarkable businesswoman. So we celebrate you as we mark International Women's Day. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And we thank everybody else who was listening. Until next time, this is Razia Kulatein Mwawanga. Join us for the next episode as we bring you African experts to unpack solutions for the continent using African knowledge and experience.